Well, everybody, isn't this just such a wonderful surprise? I'm sitting here on a random Sunday and The Last of Us Season 2 trailer comes out. Except, we hate this show. As we went over in our last trailer discussion that I just relearned myself as I looked it up and tabbed over, we did do a reaction to the last trailer, so that's crazy. I remember there was a clock in it. Joel seemed like he was going to a therapist. Joel was in it a lot. There's been a lot of subsequent speculation that Joel might die at the end of this season rather than the beginning, and we might be doing some fleshing out flashback and forward chicanery. Which I guess is a concept I'm okay with, like if the first 4 episodes are with Abby before she kills Joel, because the TV show can be different. But if the annoying thing is if people start saying that that's how the game should have done it, and like, because that is already a talking point about how we should have cared about Abby before she killed Joel, even though, no, fucking morons. It makes me so angry for a million different reasons. But the only thing I'm really scared about is it reflecting on the game discourse, which obviously I am much more sensitive to than with the first season. And if we can recap, my problem with the first season was that I know the first game so intimately. We just love each other. Except I don't. I put it to the side. I threw it out, like that one Toy Story clip when the great Season 2 came out. Part 2 came out. I'm getting fucking gaslit by this shitty show. But, like, it would annoy me that, like, they would say the lines, but they wouldn't say them right and stuff like that. And most of the most emotional moments built up in that way. Though, the show was really good. I am going to rewatch it before the second season comes out, which I think the date in my head at least is April 13th. I'm also delusionally planning to try and get all of my Last of Us Part 2 scripted videos out before then, which I've got literally a month to do, and I've also got to finish a Pokemon video before it, so how about I just kill myself instead? So anyway, Alita already gets mad at me because I do overlong intros before we get into the reaction portion of this, but whatever. We are also live on Twitch. This is crazy. That sounds like the worst idea ever. I think Miller the Killer here is talking about showing Abby for the first 4 episodes or something. It does seem kind of like a bad idea because I feel like most people that don't know about the thing, which is Joel dying. This is not a spoiler-free reaction. I don't know if anybody would have clicked on it expecting so. You just got spoiled. What was I talking about? Yeah, I don't know if we just start with new characters that are unconnected. I don't think they would like that. Though I'm not sure how much just like people who have only seen the TV show really care about Joel and Ellie that much. I don't know anything. Let's just watch the fucking goddamn motherfucking trailer. How about that? I haven't seen anything really. I haven't been spoiled on anything cool either. I think the caption on the tweet that I saw when I first saw it was like, "You can't stop this" or whatever. Abby's line, or no, is that Ellie's line later? Or it's like the vengeance. You can't stop it. Maybe they both say it. I actually can't remember. Killing Joel super early is like the appeal. Yes, it's like obviously the coolest thing. But I don't know. Neil Druckmann, I believe in him. I think he's the best writer of all time. I think he's so cool. We love him. And you'd like to think he's not a fucking pussy who would listen to his fans or some fucking nonsense like that and be pressured into changing it because he thinks he actually did do something wrong because the outcry was bad. And like in the director's commentaries and stuff, he seems to hold rather firmly in all of his decisions and stuff like that. And obviously it's not like the game is universally loved. In his like, to use his enemies' terms, like in his echo chamber, obviously The Last of Us Part 2 is like the greatest game of all time. Tens everywhere. All the people that worked on the game with him think it's great, etc., etc. It won the Game Award, etc., etc. So I believe. But who knows? Again, the show's different. He's done a bunch of stuff out of order in the show and stuff like that and changed a bunch of things. It's all fine. I don't know. Let's just watch. The fuck is that? Oh, this is the snow segment at the beginning of the game where you're in the shop. Should we full screen it? Should we make the brightness up? I don't know why we don't full screen these usually, but let's just fucking do it. Why is the quality bad? 720. What are we doing here? Three graves, fireflies. Oh. So that right there already, and I don't know if we want to pause throughout. We should probably let it play because we will go back. But this probably indicates that this is after Joel kills everybody. Then we're having a moment where we're burying everybody with the firefly pendants. My name's Abby. The fireflies are dead, Owen. Give up. And let's go kill Joel. Also, Abby's gonna be skinny.
You okay?
This is their little date.
Yeah.
This is where we live. What's that?
That's a lot bigger. But didn't we see Jackson already, and it looked more Last of Us Part 2-y in the original show? Because there is an episode with Tommy and Maria. Maria was a black woman, I think. Some of the details are very hazy with me in that show, so obviously it's going to be good to rewatch. Is it that big, or do we just see this one like street thing in the game? I don't know. They have a big part of it walled off. I guess you just haven't seen this wide of a shot of it before.
What's that? This is where we live.
Oh my god, we're doing Uncle Joel, I just realized, because I saw one frame of the next bit.
What's that?
The fence.
What's inside?
Okay, so change of scenery for this scene is interesting. It doesn't look like it's in a shed. There's something about Ellie's opening shed that I really like. It's probably because I've seen that scene a million times, because I've attempted to make a video on that scene about a million times. But also, it's like a little shed in the backyard, and, you know. It's also the back of Joel's yard, I'm pretty sure, so she still lived there for like 4 years while they weren't talking, which makes it kind of interesting when you think about it. There's also no PS3 or PS3 games over here. That's embarrassing. She might have her own house. It's not a big deal. It looks very different. Ah, they did the shot. Is anybody else sawing right now? This is the trailer shot. I did make a video about this one.
The fence.
What's inside?
People.
That was Dina,
Sounds
obviously.
right.
We've seen that before. We've seen that shot before, too. Oh, we got scars. So, yeah, that has to be a flashback to, like, more militarized wolves. So this is going to be another thing, and this is another bit of discourse that's going to annoy me, is people saying, man, they sure did waste the great Isaac in the original game, when him getting killed off like out of nowhere at the end is like the coolest part about the game, where it's like a twist and you don't expect the bad guy to be killed at this point, and then Yara just kills him after Yara's been killed, and it's like, oh, Yara actually did get a moment, because at first you're like, oh my god, I went through all this and Yara's just going to die fucking here, we just did a whole day's worth of missions to save this bitch, and then she shoots Isaac when they're not looking and saves everybody, and it's like, it was worth it, never mind. And it's like such a cool little to give the final kill for like the built-up bad guy of Ellie's story to Yara, and it's just a bunch of cool and interesting subversions, and then they run away, and then the "You are my people" line. They're gonna fuck that one up in the show. I can almost, because that's the cringiest line of all time that somehow isn't cringe at all in the game. But I don't know if this show will be able to pull it off. Are we gonna see Lev in this fucking trailer? We're gonna see the great Yara in this fucking trailer. They totally could have cast the actual Lev and Yara. They probably didn't know. But yes, obviously the wolf stuff being in tanks and stuff, like this is not something we see in the actual game. They're not as militarized like this because they're not fighting another military, obviously. They're fighting the Scars, which is a lot different, and zombies. So this is probably them versing Fedra, which means more flashbacks. I'm telling you, we're getting these 4 episodes at the beginning about Abby or something. Whoa. Oh no, that is Abby. I thought this was Ellie for a second. Owen looks like Stephen Amell. I assume this is maybe Mel. She looks like she could be pregnant. Did we whitewash Nora over here somewhere? Probably not. Which means one of these could be Manny. And then there's the other couple. The one with the nude and her boyfriend, which is the one with the scar. Then there's another one that is the one that's killed by Tommy in the thingy. And then other than that, there's Manny. I can name them all. I'm a genius. Is this maybe like Isaac or something? I don't know. We're probably going to meet their mother thingy, which I feel like the powerful thing about her is that you never meet her. The helmets look cheap. Did I say that, or did I just think that? So we're expanding on this scene like we did in the sniper section, I'm assuming. We're not letting the whole trailer play through at all. Where I'm assuming there's like because they changed how the zombies work in the show, right? So there's gonna be like a zombie horde. Another thing I don't want happening is them putting this type of zombie horde thing into the third game. Though Neil Druckmann said this week that the third game might not be coming ever. Hee. Nobody believes that. But we're focusing on the Great Intergalactic right now. Because obviously Abby gets chased by a few of them. It's kind of a cool set piece at the very beginning when you're controlling her. There's also the horde that chases Joel, Tommy, and Abby eventually. Could be a bunch of things. This is like a big assault on Jackson, which is weird, but okay. I know, it feels a lot more poppy and actiony, which the show has been the whole time, so sure. Seattle? We could have Scar episodes, I guess, that aren't just Lev and Yara.
By the time the sun...
Jesse is interesting. I don't know if we've seen her before, but hold on, there's a shot here. Is this Abby walking down the hospital, or is this something else? There is only one, and I can't really tell if it's Abby or Ellie. There's a little Scar girl there. I'm sure she's going to be cute before she's killed. Zoom in and enhance. I don't know who that was. Jesse's not handsome enough. Recast him.
The sun comes up tomorrow.
Oh, that was, this is Isaac's voice. Anyways, Miller saying anything in here? Should probably be keeping up. You think he's a better writer than Anno? Do I think he's a better writer than Matthew Weiner? Do I think he's a better writer than Kotaro Miura? I don't know, right? Leave me alone. Which side character are they going to give their own episodes that's not in the game at all, like they did for those gay guys? Well, first of all, Bill's a massive character, but he's cooler in the game, of course, because he's like crazy and stuff. But that episode was pretty good. I mean, Isaac is the obvious one because there's all that backstory and like the notes and stuff. There are others, like you could give Nora her own episode, or I don't know, you could make Mel like more likable or something, though that's kind of part of you like rooting against Mel, even though she's like clearly the victim in it, is kind of part of like the moral ambiguity point. Lev's mother is totally one you could do. There's a million little incidental characters, right? Like there's a few Scars you have a few encounters with, like the one from that first Abby trailer. Or you can just invent that cute little girl or something. Zombies destroying Jackson in part 3 is going to be so good. Maybe. Who's the kid? Tommy's. He's not in the game, right? Yes, I'm assuming it's Tommy's kid. They are all kind of younger in the show, right? I don't know if this is funny or if it's racist or not racist. It's funny that they both married black women, right? Or I guess Joel was married, I think, in the game they say that. I don't know if they say that in the show. But they both have mixed black kids. That's interesting. But yeah, I'm only assuming it's Tommy's kid because it's a black kid and it looks kind of mixed race. I don't know why Isaac couldn't have been the boss fight instead of the guy you fight. The super big guy at the end? I don't know. Gameplay. I don't care. So do you think Abby doesn't look yoked up because Ellie still looks like she's 10 years old in this? Neil Druckmann did give a whole talk about how it's like, well, we were casting her and we did bring buff girls in, but we like this girl the best, and so fuck it, we'll just have her not be skinny. And then he did bring up that the buffness was kind of primarily a like gameplay thing to make her control like Joel. Which is kind of true and something that was always going to be in one of my videos, so that was kind of cool. But anyway, did Tommy have a son in season 1? I don't know. That is true. Like, how far is the time skip? Like, we could be doing like 5 years, so the kid is like that. I feel like he might have had a little son or something. I can see that vaguely happening. I don't remember it fully though. It could also just be another kid or something. I don't know. Oh, I guess there's a time skip. Yeah, but it's only 4 years. Please cut the Ellie sex scene. It'll feel like some pedo shit. The Dina girl does look young too, even in the dance scene, which is supposed to be the night before. So Maybe.
By the time the sun comes up tomorrow,
God, it's the Jesse moment where he splits up with her because she wants to. She isn't even trying to lie that she's in it for Dina. She's clearly in it for Abby. God, this fucking game is so good.
sun comes up tomorrow.
So the kiss in the thingy, soy, the Joel flashback scene, soy. I don't know how they're gonna do that. That's cool for a game, but if you just redo it, I feel like it'll come off rather lame in the show. This kiss seems to be when they're running, underground. It might be when no, because Dina doesn't have her mask on, which means she would be dead. But also, do the spores even exist in the show? I forget. It looks like they're kind of in danger and kissing for the first time here or something. Or Ellie's gonna run off and put herself in danger, and it's a goodbye kiss. Yeah, maybe. It doesn't look like a first kiss now that I think about it.
There's a very good chance you'll be dead.
Ellie's in a hospital.
There's a very good chance you'll...
Oh, obviously. She does have scenes in a hospital, but I was like, why is she in the flashback hospital?
be dead. You're gonna lose.
And I remember this scene. Yes, yes. What is that? Oh, do you see what they're doing? We're getting a Joel flashback to being an evil guy episode. Is that oh, we'll make Abby more likable because Joel killed this old guy in a flashback? How old does he look here when he's holding the gun up? Doesn't look quite as old as I'm pretty sure he looks in a lot of these scenes. That'd be interesting. I mean, it does help make the larger point of my bigger Last of Us video is that, you basically learn to forgive Joel in The Last of Us Part 2 by Ellie and Abby's story, because Abby's story reminds you of Joel's story, and Ellie's story is about her becoming, even a worse a person than you hear that Joel is, and you still, like Ellie, and you still, see the good in her. So it's, ultimate redemption for Joel, which is kind of funny because people think it's to make Joel the bad guy because he's the white guy or something. To show Joel killing innocent people could make it more of a thing of Joel's ambiguity, something moral ambiguity, something you're supposed to think about, because it's implied a bunch in the first game that he's oh, I've been on both sides or whatever, and also the thing he does at the end, obviously, but and then Ellie does way more selfish things for her personal love / hate in 2. Very well written game, we love it. But also this looks like zombie sex right now, so what's going on here? Or it's just a misdirecting fucking trailer image shot, I mean. Running from the trains in the red, obviously that's an epic scene in the game because the lighting looks really cool. I don't know if that'll come across as well in a TV show.
Don't you know what he did?
Oh, that's right. The girl from Intergalactic is the Nora. Hold on, did you hear what she just said? Don't you know what he did? Oh, never mind. I was like, are they going to have a cringe dramatic scene where Ellie finds out there that Joel saved her and stuff? But she should already know if they've kept in the scene where she finds out, obviously. Oh, it's so good that she doesn't care, and when you're playing it for the first time. Oh, and if they do show it out of order and that's before it, oh, that's actually kind of a clever inclusion. I actually like this inclusion now. So what I thought was happening is that's where the TV show would find out that that's when TV show Ellie would find out that Joel was a bad guy. But obviously, part of the power at the end of The Last of Us Part 2 is that it's recontextualized that Ellie has known the whole time. Now, it's not right at the end, but the right at the end recontextualization is that she, wanted to forgive him and then she couldn't, and that's why she's mad about everything. And it's more petty and pathetic. But obviously, at some point, you find out that Ellie has known the whole time. But if you don't know then and you're, mad at Nora because it's, no, don't tell Ellie. She needs to think Joel is a good guy. Only to then have the recontextualization. That can, that would be really cool. But anyway, I don't know if that made any sense.
Don't you know what he did?
Lots of one-shots here. There's a bloater in Jackson. Cool.
You swore.
Ew, that was cringe. I got the bad soy chills then just now. August 13th, I was right about the date. I'm a genius. Ew. I don't like that at the end of the trailer at all. Especially when, like, I guess it's just different. Like, the anticipation levels are obviously different going into Season 2 than Game 2. But, like, the does she know thing is, like, the only thing you're, like, invested in going into, like, the second game. Obviously, the marketing made it the is Joel gonna die thing, too. Obviously, the leaks kind of undermined that. Also, it looks like they're in, like, Jackson after it's been, like, broken down here. When this should be in Salt Lake City.
You swore.
Or this could be like he just saved her after the zombies nearly broke through and he's trying to have a moment with her, but she's telling him to piss off. Which would be okay. But I didn't like the delivery or anything. I feel like we did all the analysisizing as we went, and there's not much to go over except for this last bit in, like, detail. So who knows? Did Miller the Killer say anything else? We'll see. God, each flashback is going to take up so much time, potentially an entire episode. Going to be so boring in TV format. Maybe. I don't know. It is funny because so far what Neil Druckmann has said is there isn't a part 3, like, of the games or anything, and like, the show will be 4 seasons, which means we're supposed to assume that Game 2 is going to take up 3 seasons, which would mean a lot of stretching and fleshing out. Now, I say this whenever I talk about any sort of adaptation, but, like, obviously the pacing is, like, now Miller the Killer definitely disagrees with this point, but the pacing, I think, is a very strong part of the game. Miller the Killer will go on about Ellie Day 2, and he won't shut the fuck up about it. About how it drags. Now, I don't know, part of it, especially a lot of the Ellie thing, like the Ellie story, is like there are a lot of holes in it, but you sort of ignore it because you think the game is one thing up until that point. And it's only like when you go back to that, like the second time with full context, especially because there's so many little details about the timeline and, like, oh, you can kind of, like, this is sort of an indication of what Abby is doing at this moment. When you're like, Ellie's in, like, day 2, and she's, like, gone through 17 squads of wolves, and she's running away, and then she, like, fucks over Jesse. And then when you realize, like, Abby is, like, in the aquarium, like, Abby's, like, above the skyline, like, falling off of buildings right now, and has no idea that Ellie's coming at all until literally, like, she finds Mel and shit. And I don't know, that's such a great part of the game, is that, like, it literally is, like, that Abby isn't even thinking about Ellie, doesn't even know that her or anybody like her is supposed to be here. I guess when she sees Tommy, but that's, like, right at the end of day 3, Abby, I'm pretty sure. It's, like, so cool, but you think, like, you sort of create a narrative that, like, Abby is, like, the one pulling the strings with the wolves, and, like, she's getting really close to her. And obviously she kind of is at the end when she's swimming towards the aquarium, and you feel like it's going to this big climactic build-up, but it's not. And then when you see the Mel and Owen scene without any context for the first time, you're like, oh, these are the people from the beginning, and you kill them, and it's like, it just works so well when you think the story is going one way, and then when it's not, and then you get the fuller context for it, it's, I don't know. The Last of Us Part 2 is like a recontextualizing the game, which is probably why I like it as much as I like it. Anyway, I guess we're going through here. I don't know what point I was making there. I guess it was about pacing and about how if you flesh things out too much. And that's also the point in, like, a lot of these things don't have a lot of build-up and payoff, like with Isaac. And that's, like, it's, like, sacrifice to the structure, but it's, like, it makes it so interesting. Whereas, like, if every little thing is fleshed out, it's like, well, it feels like a more of a linear story. And I get that the non-linearness of The Last of Us Part 2 is why it's so impressive as, like, a game, because, like, that really hasn't been done in a game to this level of detail, really, previously. And it has been in, like, movies and shows, so maybe you would want to do a more linear approach just to do it differently. But I also don't think that's what they're going to do at all. Like, the porch scene has to be in the last episode of Season 4. Like, it has to be. Or, like, this, it could be the ending of the second last episode, and then the last episode is the Abby conflict at the end. God, that just reminds me about how in the commentary you originally kill Abby at the end, and I think I like that better. And it's like crazy. This is not really the place to talk about that, I guess. But I feel like that makes the Ellie final scene so much like, not so much better, but it adds a layer. But it also makes the thematic like critique more easy. Where it's like, oh, she got revenge and she didn't like it. Whereas it's like, she got there, she didn't even bother with the revenge because it wasn't like she didn't feel it in the moment. And she's still, I don't know. That's actually better. I don't know. I'm conflicted on all these things. Anyway, we're supposed to be going through here and frame by framing it. Joel is distressed in the snow. This doesn't mean anything. The Nora scene. Also, this Nora actress has to be like, I was going to say 30. Intergalactic lead actress. Her name is a hard one, okay? Can we just fucking find the fucking goddamn motherfucking name here? What is this? Oh, features a song. It's like there's been promotion for it. Is this girl's name anywhere? I should have just looked up her You character, but I can't remember it now. Oh, it's not even that hard. She's nearly 30. I'm not being too upsetting. And it's going to be funny because she's supposed to be like Ellie's age. But it is true, Bella Ramsey does look very young. Hold on, what was this door shutting thingy? Oh! On Miller's earlier point, the Firefly guy at the beginning, we're definitely getting an episode on. Now, this looks like Joel, because for a second I thought it was him. Because Tommy's old friend from the Fireflies, who has all the weed and the porn, his name is not Craig. That's the idiot that writes this show with the great Neil Druckmann. I forget his name, but you could easily do an episode on him. He had to leave his family and stuff. That's so sad. He'll be such a little conflicted guy. The no part 3 thing is the biggest lie I've ever heard. Yeah, obviously. They're obviously only splitting it up into multiple seasons because that's the minimum amount of time it'll take for part 3 to come out. That is a possibility, but like, it's also delusional, right? Like, Intergalactic is not coming out for like 2 years. And then that means The Last of Us 3 is like minimum 4 years after that. And so you'd be 2 years into the show being gone. Now, if like part 3 has a bigger time skip, then you could like give a bigger thingy. I don't know. I don't know how you sell it to HBO. You better hope that, and now Sony definitely still owns The Last of Us TV rights. So if they say we're not doing a show, but like, is Sony gonna pressure Neil into doing a thingy? I don't know. I would be very nervous. I don't know. Especially since obviously they knew, like Neil definitely knew the whole time that Intergalactic was the next game, and like they have been kind of working on Intergalactic for like 4 years or whatever. Even though they were probably primarily working on The Last of Us multiplayer for a few years. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What do you even like this game if you're like a complete opposite ending? Well, because it can work either way, obviously. Why wouldn't it be able to work either way? And also because everything that's happened that I've liked has already happened up until that point. And it makes it like less hopeful, which I think I like. Anyway. Please give me a Game of Thrones diversion. Like, that has, like, kind of got to be the answer, right? You would think. Would Last of Us Part 3 even be about Abby or any of the characters you know? Well, this was the big discourse about a sequel originally. I always talk about, like, the only idea that can have both of them in it is that, like, Abby finds somebody that can make the cure again, and she has to go and find Ellie to see if Ellie still wants to do the cure. And that's obviously very interesting, because you can ask the question of, like, does Ellie even still want to do it? Was she just bluffing the whole time about how she would have sacrificed herself? Is she more cynical at the world and less likely to want to sacrifice herself? How does this come into conflict with Abby? What is Abby like now? And et cetera, et cetera. Then they would probably have to become friends and journey to wherever the guy is or something. It feels like a much smaller, like, part one sort of plot. But that's like the only idea where you can have all of the characters in it again. Like Ellie can have a scene where she says goodbye to Dina and she can be in it. And we can see Tommy over there and he tries to kill fucking Abby or something, and that's conflict there. And then like you see Lev again and she's traveling with them or something. And on the Abby side, all of her characters are dead, so it's just her and Lev. But anyway, you would think the stronger one would just be in like an Abby story, but then do you want to do that? Like, what happens when you do the reveal trailer? It's just Abby, and then Abby's on the cover, and like this is one of the most hated characters of all time. And similarly, like I feel like most people would be pretty mad that like the game if it's just an Ellie story. So yeah, I have no idea. Like the new characters thing seems boring. Like I feel like people used to talk about it when before part 2 was announced, where it's like the world of The Last of Us is just so strong, you can like do anything in it, so it doesn't need to be about the characters. The world in The Last of Us, I couldn't give 2 fucks and a shit less about. Like obviously the characters are the most interesting thing, and it's like if you're just gonna remove the characters, like the set dressing of The Last of Us is not too interesting. Like just make a new IP, why not? Or just make another Uncharted game. Like it's obviously like the writing that like I would care about. So like an Intergalactic is basically as exciting to me as a part. Well, no, because part 3 would have the investment, but a part 3 about the characters I like, trusting Neil to have a good idea, is like something I would be more invested in. But other than that, like I don't know, it would be anything. But then if you do a part 3 and the characters aren't in it, I feel like the whole time you're playing the game, you're just waiting for one of them to show up or something. And it's like, if you choose not to, then the eventual disappointment that we're never in it would probably be a thing. You could do the marketing thing where you like announce that none of the characters are in it, but then people aren't going to believe you because Naughty Dog have lied in the marketing before. Who knows? Anyway. What a bunch of bullshit. It's all the characters, obviously. True. All the characters have places to go and unresolved stuff after part 2. Yeah, but a lot of that stuff doesn't really need to be resolved. Like, is Ellie going to reconstruct her life with Dina? Works really well ambiguously. Like, you can believe that she is, or you can believe that she isn't. I believe that she would. Does Abby actually find the Fireflies? Like, obviously the implication at the end is yes. What does she do with them now? Like, tries to set up communities. Cool. They're both off doing their thing. I don't know if I need answers to any of those questions. And I think if the game did happen, those answers would be done pretty quickly before we moved on. There is like, oh, you could play as JJ when he's like 18 or 16 or something. And Ellie's like a grumpy lady up in the woods, and like he doesn't know who she is, and she go, and like that could be like a framing device or something. I feel like at some point either I read a pitch about it being about Lev and JJ or something. But yeah, who knows? They'll just introduce a new antagonist group again, I'm sure. But like part 2 isn't about an antagonist group at all. Like the thought of that is like, well, that's boring. Because there isn't like, what is Isaac the antagonist group? Like, not really. Are the Scars? Kind of. Like, you like Isaac. You don't like the Scars because they're like crazy, but then there's the Slavers at the end. I don't know. I feel like introducing any new protagonists would make the cast too big, and this is going to be the final game bringing everything together. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be the final game, I guess. And there's nothing to bring together, I don't know. I guess the bringing together thing would be like the Cure stuff. But even that, I think that is like a corny... Like, I guess Ellie killing herself at the end is kind of cool. But it's for like the greater good, so it's not that cool. The Cure thing is kind of stupid. I don't know. Anyway, let me just... So somebody's getting hung. Everything has a price. Who is this? This might be Dina. I don't know who this girl is. Also, the red lighting in that one scene we just saw it in didn't look cool like the game, so... I don't know who that girl is. A bloater just in the yard here is weird. This looks like Once Upon a Time at Hollywood's ending. Did they ever use the flamethrower in season 1? Are we supposed to soy out because the flamethrower is finally here? A blow to getting in is like crazy. Especially with how they were shown in the first game. The first season, rather. And then this is just the... You swore. So I guess we've done a trailer analysis. I did it kind of as we went. I don't know if I need to go over any of this. The graves, the thingy, we got the thingy, we're changing some things. She's like getting out of a box here. Was she like captured? Very little Dina, huh? That just looks like the supermarket stuff. There's definitely like... We get no shot of them like rolling up as a group. Is it before this? Is it after this? The Abby shot here. I don't want Abby and them to be the reason why the gate gets broken or whatever. Like that's kind of fucked up. Abby has a line where she's like, "Oh, we'll do what we have to do," where it's like she's implying that they might try and attack the town if they can't find where Joel is or whatever. But nothing like that ends up happening. So if like they break the gate and let the zombies in or lead like a horde there, like Abby wouldn't do that, but obviously it's a different Abby, whatever. Like I guess that's an interesting choice. But then how does Joel save Abby and get in the thing? POV tracking Scar shot is like... He definitely has to be the focus of the episode or something. That could be a thing where we get one like Wolf POV thing and one Scar POV thing. And it's like, oh, two sides of a conflict. Which is there in the game, but I kind of like that in the end it's just like all of the main characters just decide that this is like a background detail and we don't actually care. And then the same thing happens with the slavers and the revolting slaves at the end. Oh, we can also get Ellie with her first girlfriend if we want to make that an episode. We're writing this goddamn show now. Will we see that guy's penis like we did in the game? Big questions. Also, I don't know. This is an interesting thing. This could be like interesting, not this one. But like if he's like half a zombie here and he starts like chanting like he's from like The Exorcist and it's like, what do the zombies actually think? And Ellie gets some sort of an insight or whatever because Ellie's biggest fear is becoming one of them or whatever, or ending up alone. And then she does in the end. Crazy. I think we've exhausted our discussion here. We did like a Last of Us Part 2 review in here and a Last of Us Part 3 predictions thing in here. So I hope everybody likes the Last of Us content here. We'll see if Miller the Killer has anything, then we'll get the fuck out of here. No way they'll do anything involving a cure. That'd be lame as like doing a second Death Star. Well, I mean, it brings up interesting character bits. But what do you think is unresolved in Part 2 then, besides like the Dina thing? And having a pro-suicide ending would be terrible. So that's just war, right? War is suicide to help the country. You know, that's pro-suicide. Every war movie is a pro-suicide movie. If you got to die to make a cure, then that's pretty epic. You got to do it. Even then, I think the character decision is the interesting part. Like if she got there and they like she did the journey of like, oh, we got to get to this doctor and then he'll kill you and then he'll make a cure. And we get there and he's like, actually, I can just do this cool surgery and save you. Even her like attempting to do it. But then you would have to have her in the seat and say yes before it or something. She'd have to wake up and the doctor would be, I found a way to save you during surgery. Or something like that. That would be stupid too. I'm just spitballing here. I got a million ideas. Somebody hire me. You really think... Hold on. I accidentally clicked off the screen. Fuck off. You really think that's the last time we'll see, like, Dina and even Tommy leaving in such bad places? Well, Dina's in a fine place, right? She's hanging out with Jesse's parents. She's got her little kid. She's over her annoying ex-wife. Tommy is, like... It's, like, part of the game, right? His whole life got fucked up because he went too hard with the vengeance thing. But even then, Neil Druckmann's like, the idea he had for like a DLC or something or some point was a Tommy story, which could lead to Tommy redemption. I don't know, it kind of hurts the finality of the second game if Tommy does get redeemed. Like, I kind of don't want him to be redeemed. I kind of want that to be like the... Tommy was a good thing that was ruined by this story. And it is kind of like Ellie's fault. And it's not just Ellie got all these innocent people killed that we don't really care about. Obviously she got Jesse killed and stuff like that, who is somebody we care deeply about, and she ruined her relationship with Dina. But it's also like Tommy, like somebody from the first game who was always like a good guy, who's now like a prick, and like his life is ruined and he's divorced and stuff like that. Obviously the divorce thing will be like harder hitting if I only see the kids on weekends or something, he says. Anyway, interesting. Hey, whenever I pick up my phone, it gets rid of fucking Twitch here. Maybe Tommy joins the new antagonist group. Tommy can't, like, walk. How is he gonna fight? I don't think he'll be in an antagonist group. And I feel like Ellie and Abby becoming friends is the only way the story should go. I mean, I don't think they'll ever be friends, but they'll, like, do a thingy. They'll tolerate each other or something. I don't know. If Ellie has a nightmare and wakes up in the middle of the night and chokes her or something, that could be a good scene. Anyway, it would be like a cool moment if in like the first trailer, like they see each other again, and then there's like a fight scene where they're back to back or something, and it's like these guys that hated each other are now together. That's crazy, brother. That's crazy. But then it's just gonna be a bunch of people being like, "Oh, should have killed her. Ellie's a traitor," or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of this goddamn motherfucking video. People are going to click on this video saying, how the fuck did you get 40 minutes out of this trailer? And they're going to realize it ain't about this trailer and that we're really cool guys around here. Anyway, we'll see ya for... well, first of all, hopefully we'll see you on the main channel for a bunch of Last of Us scripted videos. Last of Us Part 2, that is. And then we'll probably see you for Last of Us Season 2 discussions, which I think Elite already agreed to recently. So... when it comes out, it'll come out. Also, I might do a video after I rewatch the series with updated thoughts on that. I don't know. There's going to be Last of Us bullshit coming, hopefully. Support link in the description below. Thanks.